for our Rants and Raves of the week. We're going to start with you, Callie.
Okay. Last week I sat on the set and I said, and we're going to see a picture in a minute, that Fox News Channel had misidentified the late Stuart Scott that you see there with another ESPN commentator who's also black, and that's Stephen A. Smith. It seemed fine to me and made sense. All my checks and balances did not kick in. I later found out it was a hoax. These things happen. Now, there's no excuse here from me, not making an excuse, but the reason was Fox News has in the past mixed up names of well-known people they should know better, and typically it's been black folk. But I think there's a reason they say give somebody a benefit of the doubt. So you give them a benefit of the doubt. Even if you think they always do it, you have to make certain that they did do it. In this case, they did not. So Fox did not mix up the names. I am therefore apologizing. I won't be caught like that again, one hopes.
I have to kick myself a little bit on this one, Callie, too, because this is the kind of stuff that normally passes over my transom, and I look at it and I research it and I find it, and I didn't know you were going to do it last week, so we try to keep our Rants and Raves surprises to some degree. I didn't know that was yours, but usually that kind of thing, you know, it gets tweeted out or somebody picks right up on it and you go, really? So it didn't appear anywhere. And by the way, as I said to you in an email, I don't get the joke. I mean,
well, it wasn't a joke. I mean, that's the whole thing.
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, because they were basing it on their pattern of having mixed up before. So they were counting on it looked quite real. But that's okay. Even if it looks real, you still got to go through your own systems. And in this case, my systems of checks and balances.
In terms of not getting a joke, I think some people just get a thrill out of taking a false story and putting it out there and seeing it gain traction. That's it.
Right.
Well, humor can be confusing when it's not funny.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
really wasn't funny.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Dan, what do you got?
I have a rave for Alex Jones, the director of the Shorenstein Center on Media, Politics, and Public Policy at Harvard's Kennedy School. After 15 years, Alex is stepping down. He has been a great friend and convener of the journalistic conversation, both locally and nationally, in his time at Harvard. He's probably best known for writing with his late wife, Susan Tift, a wonderful biography of the Sulzberger family that owns the New York Times called The Trust. So check it out.
I have that book. It's about...
It is thick.
Yeah, he's really made that program a staple at Harvard, and he's also a Neiman Fellow.
What's he going to do? Do you know, Dan?
No, I asked him actually, and he said he doesn't know yet, but he's going to do something.
Yeah.
In fact, the announcement did not describe this as retirement.
Yeah, good. Well, I understand. I'm with him on that. All right, Adam, what do you got?
I want to rave for former Florida Senator Bob Graham, who this week, I guess, reawakened the push to disclose or declassify 28 redacted pages of a congressional report on the 9/11 terror attacks. There's speculation that these pages contain evidence of or allegations of Saudi Arabian involvement in the attacks. They may or they may not. Steve Lynch, our congressman, has been vocal saying that these should be released as well. I don't know what's in them, but I think that when something is this important...
Stephen Lynch knows because he's read them.
He does, and he says they should be out there. So kudos to Bob Graham for reminding people that this big piece of history is not public still.
All right, Josh.
My rant is for the nation of France. They've been through a lot, but this week they sort of went against what one might perceive as the values that we were discussing over the past week. Just barely hours after the huge rally in Paris on Sunday, in which everyone agreed that freedom of speech and freedom of expression was critically important, the French authorities arrested a comedian named Dieudonné Mbala, who is a popular French comedian of Cameroonian origin. He has gotten in trouble many times in the past for comments and remarks that have been at least interpreted as, and pretty much seem to be, anti-Semitic or otherwise problematic, very, very seriously problematic. But he put on his Facebook wall, instead, as everyone was saying, "Je suis Charlie," "Je suis Charlie Hebdo," I said, "Je suis Charlie Koulibaly." Koulibaly is the name of the shooter in the Jewish supermarket in Paris. For that, he was arrested, taken into authority, along with dozens of other French citizens and residents. France and Europe has a very different view of free speech in some ways than the United States, in particular around speech that is viewed as anti-Semitic or fascist in some sort of way, something that Dieudonné has gotten in trouble with before. But nonetheless, to say on one hand, we need to defend the absolute right to make fun of Muslims, and at the same time, we're going to arrest someone who makes one-line Facebook post is, I think, very problematic.
Isn't there a French rapper who is facing prosecution for some off-color comments about the nation of France? Okay.
There may be.
Can't remember the name.
All right. I have a rant for the United States First District Court, and that is right here in Boston, the Moakley Courthouse, that wouldn't allow the media in this week to the voir dire, which is the questioning of the potential juries in the Jahar Tsarnaev case. Now, you can help me weigh in on this too, Adam, because you've been covering the trial. Everything is supposed to be open. Everything is supposed to be public. So this week, the media were the only public people there, and they were not allowed into the actual courtroom where they were in the Whitey Bulger case, in virtually every other case. Now, we don't even know why. There was some muddied explanation about that there were so many lawyers in the room, and they were at a huge conference table, that there was no way where to have a bench conference, because everybody in the room would have had to get up and leave, because there was like, I don't know, 23 people in the room, and there was no bench the way there usually is in a courtroom. It was a conference table. But, so instead they used this very Mickey Mouse system where they were giving us a camera feed that I said it looks like they got the camera at Toys R Us, and the audio you could barely hear it. Everything was blurry. Everything was, and then half the time, or a good chunk of the time, 7 minutes, the whole operation went down. And technically, they should have stopped the proceeding because it was not open to the public.
I agree with you, not unprecedented. Many years ago, they did that with the Woburn toxic waste trial.
Oh, really? We've come a long way.
I sat in on the grounds that I wouldn't write about it until afterwards, but others refused to sit in.
All right. Thanks for that. Well, that is our show. Tell us what you think. Is Al Jazeera America on the way out? Is the media too informal with politicians' names? Weigh in on our website, beatthepress.org. You can also catch up on past episodes or watch any of this show you may have missed.